keep listening. You just tuned into WJJCRH radio program. I'm Malin, and we're here with
Tanya,
JJAY,
Sean G.
Sabrina.
Well, today's topic is on rap music influence, young adults, and how teens interpret it. These raps and the raps that exposes real life and real life situations today, and the many influences that occur when these raps are publicly shown. One of our main focuses is on attacks to the Black or African American community and the effects of how people deal with it, or how our society interprets it.
Yeah, so what's up? It's Sean. Leading off on what Malin was talking about, we are going to focus on the attacks on the Black community, whether it's the hood pranks that you see on YouTube and World Star Hip Hop, which World Star Hip Hop is arguably one of the worst things to happen to the Black community in recent times. And also, we're going to speak about how rappers talk about these life occurrences and things that are going on, just to expose and really show what's really going on. One song that I do want to speak about is Ah Shit by G-Unit. New song released on SoundCloud. I believe it's royalty free. It's not with a label or anything or on an album. It's not anything like that. 50 Cent, who's one of the main guys of G-Unit, he does say in the chorus, with your hands up, you're still getting shot. After recent events, we could all vouch for that. It's a little ridiculous how social media is really taking off, and we're seeing the real side of all these officers and cops that are attacking the Black community. And I say Black community because we don't hear the stories about the white community. And they're focusing and racially profiling the Black community, and it's not right. People need to say something.
I was recently, this is like a personal experience. I was recently with my little cousin in the street. She's about 6 years old. And two cops walked by, and she's all of a sudden scared. So kids are not being taught that cops are to protect. They're being taught that there's something you should be scared of, and not,
Right.
It's something totally different now in our generation than what it was back then.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. When a cop goes by my car, I get more scared than feeling safe.
It's like paranoid, right?
It shouldn't be like that. I should feel safe when this cop's around. I shouldn't feel like I'm about to get thrown out of the car and slammed against a guardrail.
And even if you're not doing anything, or if you're not, you don't have anything, you still sort of feel a panic over cops. And it's not because of, it's usually because of what's been happening, like, throughout our history, and looking back on how cops beat people, or
Absolutely.
Without cause. I've recently, no, not recently, it was back then, I saw a case on a guy who had mental problems, and the guy was pulling out a comb from his pocket. He pulled it out, and cops shot him.
Yeah, you hear this over and over and over again. You hear Sean Bell, you hear Trayvon Martin. We have Eric Gardner, the Staten Island man that was choked by the officers. We have the recent events in Ferguson. Time and time again, people are being attacked, and it's not with reasonable cause. Seatbelts, reaching for seatbelts, reaching for their driver's license, and they're getting shot. It's ridiculous.
It's not even that. It's that this guy, this case, I don't really remember the name of it, but this case, the guy pulled out the comb. Okay, they shot him, but they continued to shoot him even if they saw that he wasn't holding a weapon, like a gun or a knife or, anything like that. But they still kept shooting at him.
You know what the difference is? This happened all along. The only difference is that as technology evolved and advanced, and people actually step up to the plate, we now hear it because of social media and the platforms that we do have available and that are accessible today. And I'm sure this happened numerous times over the past couple of years, but we just didn't hear about it. That's like with World War II and then Vietnam. Like World War II, you didn't really see or hear any of the actual events that are going on.
Yeah,
then once
right.
Vietnam was being sent around, maybe newspapers or more recent wars, I'm not 100% sure on it. I wasn't really around that time. I wasn't born yet. But people actually saw the real events that occurred during war, and people turned against war. People that were 100% for war turned against it. And that's the same exact thing that's happening now with especially the black community and these police officers.
And it's going to continue to happen, especially with these cases that we recently seen. The guy who was choked, I believe it was.
Eric Garner.
Yeah, him. You know, it's something like he's saying he can't breathe, and he's saying that, you know, please stop. And the cops kept going. I mean, he has, what did he have? Asthma?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and the cops kept going. And I think that, you know, there's a certain line to things, and there's a certain borderline, and cops cross it all the time. And it's not something, it's not right.
And now that I'm skimming through the lyrics to the song "Ah Shit" that I referenced to earlier, and one of the other members from G Unit, Young Buck, he says, end quote, "Ever since Mike Brown went down, my whole city like fuck a cop. Run the red light, fuck a stop. Bust his head when you pump the Glock." Now, this is making everybody go against the officers. It makes their job impossible. And you also got to take into consideration that these cops are on edge because everybody is now disobeying the law. They see them as a threat. So now the cops have to live on edge. And now you got to ask yourself, can you really blame a cop for pulling a gun when he sees a young man run for his glove box? I mean, just think about it.
Yeah.
You got rappers like Young Buck saying, "My whole city like fuck a cop," which is true. Everybody doesn't like cops.
Everyone.
And it's sad, but this is the world that we live in, and it's a shame that the black community is being, you know, it's a shame.
So now we're going on a little break. Hope you enjoy the music.
Hey, welcome back to WJJCRH. I'm JJAY, and I want to talk about how rappers educate us through their lyrics by talking about real world problems. A good example is Kendrick Lamar. His song called High Power. Here are the lyrics. Every day we fight the system just to make our way. We've been down for too long, but that's all right. We was built to be strong because it's our life. I want to talk about how he's talking about the government. I'm not going to get too much into the lyrics, but he talks about the government, how they're taking over, and how we have to stay strong together because it's like us against them. And right now they're winning. So
Well, I want to put in a little input on how black communities nowadays, sometimes we also have to see the other point of view of what is really going on. Why are cops acting that way? Why are they targeting black communities? Why are they targeting minorities? Maybe it's because of what happened back then, what's happening now. Blacks are attacking blacks, black on black, and minorities against minorities. And maybe, I'm not saying I give cops a real reason to why, they should actually be doing this, or I give them a, what do you call that?
Okay, I want to have additional thoughts on what Melina is saying. My name is Tanya. I want to say that it's not just the black community. It's also Latinos. For example, I have an artist, one of my favorites. He's a political rapper, actually, and his name is Immortal Technique. If any of you listeners have actually heard of him, you will know what I'm talking about. He's a really good artist, and one of the songs that's really well known of him is called Dance with the Devil. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard of that song because, most people only know him because of that song.
Crazy.
But that song goes in about how someone that he used to know grew up without a mother. He used to live in the projects, and most of us, or if not, some of us can actually relate to that. I personally grew up in the projects at a young age, but I grew above that.
Yeah, he's basically a gangbanger.
Yeah, but Immortal Technique on this song, again, Dance with the Devil, you guys should really listen to it. It's a good song. He speaks about how this kid grew up without a mother. His mom was a fiend. She would, she would smoke, and she would just not be a good mother to him. And he grew up just in the streets, basically. He dropped out of high school. He wanted to sell weed in the streets, and he wasn't, I'm not going to say he wasn't educated, but he didn't have a figure on his life to really show him what's right and what's wrong. Especially his mother worked 2 jobs. She overworked. She wasn't barely home. So this kid, he grew up in the streets with these people who just taught him that he needs to step up his game. He needs to have his name out there. And I have some lyrics, but further in the song, it's actually a story. And in the song, he grows up. Yeah, I'm just gonna find the lyrics. Just give me 1 second.
While she finds the lyrics, I just wanted to talk about how, there's always 2 sides to a story. And that's what I really want to go back to. We have the police who are constantly, targeting black communities and minorities. But why are they targeting black communities and minorities? Why is it that we're the ones being targeted? And sometimes it's because our community seems to be idolizing the wrong people, or making, sometimes it's not right to be,
But it's not only the black community, it's also younger people in general.
Yes, it is younger people. And for this young man in this song, he was idolizing the wrong people. He wanted to, be known in the streets. And one of the lyrics here actually reads, I kind of want to rap it to you guys. So sorry about this.
Start with line 42.
I'm sorry. I just had it.
While she looks for the lyrics, I'm gonna say I think that rappers are more getting attracted to kids because they have a a closer
connection.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. The lyrics read, tired of the block niggas treating him the same. He wanted to be major like the cutthroats and the thugs, but when he tried to step up, niggas showed him no love. They told him any motherfucking coward can sell drugs. Any bitch nigga with a gun can bust slugs. Any nigga with a red shirt can front like a blood. Even Puffy smoked up a motherfucker in a club. But only a real thug can stab someone till they die, standing in front of them, staring straight into their eyes. Now, this character, his name is Billy. And basically, he's idolizing the wrong people because they're telling him that he has to kill someone in order to be real to them. They're telling him that no matter what you do, you could wear a red shirt, you could pretend you're blood, but you're not. You have to step up your game. And further into the song, this is a really sad song, by the way, and further into it, they actually find a woman walking alone in the streets. It's like 3 a.m. They get out of their car, they follow her, they put a cover on her face so that she wouldn't see their faces, and they take her to the rooftop where each of them rape her violently. And at the end of the song, they tell him that he has to kill her because she's a witness of what she went through.
So they take off the blindfold. And
when they take off the blindfolder, Billy sees that he's staring into the eyes of his own mother. And then he remembered how she used to come home late, working hard for nothing, because now what was he worth? He just to follow this idolized people that he shouldn't not be idolizing, he ends up raping his own mother. At the end of the song, he jumps off the roof and quotes, "Dies with no soul. They tell you that heaven takes you to a better place, but I doubt it." And I mean, they had to kill his mother, and they never spoke about it.
And that also brings me to this: do you think rappers actually mean what they're saying, or are they talking about their past life, and then are they changed, but they still want to act hard on a mic, so they don't reform the way that they speak, and they just rap about busting gats and
I would say music nowadays is just about that. Rappers just talk about they pull out a gun, or they just talk about being in a club, having bitches with them. That's really all rap nowadays is about. They don't educate you how music nowadays really should. Immortal Technique, again, is a political rapper. He has other songs that educate you about what's really going on in the world. But we as minorities don't get to step up to, let's say, the whites and the chances that they have. We don't have that window of opportunities to really step up our game. Not how Billy in this song did, but actually step up to do something to further our education.
I feel like everybody nowadays just wants to. They all want to flip bricks. They all want to make their own cash on the street. They want to make that million on the corner, and it's not the right message. But with that being said, we're going to take you to another break. Please enjoy the intermission music.
Hey guys, welcome back to WJJCRH, and we're back with more information about rappers, police brutality, and things like our opinions. Well, I have a song that it just reminds me of like what we're talking about, and it's by Kendrick Lamar. It's pretty old. It came out in around 2011. It's called "It's Heaven and Hell," and the lyrics are: "Niggas hating, bitches hating, babies dying, bullets flying, helicopters, police sirens, preachers lying, genocide." Genocium, criticism, unemployment, racism, burning buildings, AIDS, victims, cancer, killing, no cure. Oil spilling, turmoil, poverty striking, police brutality, kicking ass of us African Americans. I feel like, honestly, that some rappers, they rap about like meaningful things, and some rappers just rap about like whatever like they feel like is gonna be a hit. And the fact that people like from the projects or like gangsters or stuff like that, they're influenced from rappers that talk about that because they feel like they can relate to them and they feel like they're like their idol. And I feel like when rappers talk about like getting getting brutality by
By police, right? And what do you mean, like brutality? Like, is it?
It just means that it's harder, when you're a minority, especially black in this world that we live in, because we're just looked at possible suspects of any crime. Like, let's say there was a bank robbed nearby, and you're with a group of friends. There's
Everybody
nothing
fits
wrong.
a description.
Exactly. Everybody looks the same to them. Like, oh, I think you did it, but you don't have a gun on you. Put your hands up. Pa pa. That's it. You're dead. Why? Because you're putting your hands up. You're listening to what they're saying. But in reality, they don't care. They just want to get their numbers up. They just want to do their job. But they're corrupt. They're not doing their job. Their job is to protect us, right?
Yeah, I really wonder how it's like in other parts of the country also. You go to Georgia, you go to Oklahoma, go to Los Angeles, go to New York, go to Florida. It's all different. And it would be nice if I could travel the country one day and see how things are, not only in that aspect, but just see how life is different and how their culture is different when it's within our own, country. That it's crazy.
I also read something for homework, and it said how we're depriving the whites from seeing how our culture is. For example, you don't really see a rich white guy coming into the ghetto because, well, they're afraid. They think that they're gonna get jumped, and possibly they might because they have, their golden watches, but they have this imagery of us as violent animals who, like savages, who fiend for money and power. In reality, we're all humans. We might have started off differently, but in the end, we're humans. But in this book that I was reading, it said how we deprive whites from seeing our culture. But I mean, I just want to get your guys' opinion. Do you think that's true? Do you think that we really do deprive them from seeing how we live?
Personally, I think that what that means is that we're depriving them from seeing all the great things that we are and all the great things that we're made of, and especially where we come from. I'm Dominican, and if, out here today in the world, you wouldn't really see a Dominican, making it to the top that much. Because why? Because they're being pulled down by what society has to say, by
it's like
cops.
A stereotype, right?
It is. Yeah. And not only that, but the main thing that I see in that quote is that we're not giving them a chance to see how great we really are.
Yeah, and I also want to bring this up before we end, before we wrap this broadcast up. There's different types of racism and stereotyping and profiling. There's the rich black guy and white guy flossing out racism, where I'll walk into a Rolex store with my MCM bag on, and they'll bring me the most expensive watch. They'll give me a $30,000 watch and say, "Hey, you want this? What else you want? You want a Bentley? You want keys to a mansion? What do you want?" And that's for the Kanye West guys. That's for the Jay-Z guys. Jay-Z walks into a jewelry store. They're throwing a $180,000 chain at him. and that's racism.
I have to agree with you. I remember once I was buying a necklace for my mother, and I went into like this really expensive place in Manhattan, and I walked in, and she looked at me. She's like, "Oh, sweetie, do you need any help?" Like, the tone she said it in kind of like pointed out that in her mind she was like, "What are you doing here?"
Absolutely. And if I walk into a store with flip-flops, pants on my ankles, and a really, really, really baggy shirt with no jewelry on, no earrings in my ears, and no $1,000 book bag, they're pretty much, and I asked to see the $30,000 watch, they're going to look at me like I'm crooked, and they're going to tell me Swatch is across the street. So
That's true.
that's something to keep in mind, and it's not the most pleasant thing to think about, but it definitely exists, and you got to be aware. And that's what we're doing here. We're raising awareness for the things that are not typically correct or morally correct in today's society, and hopefully we can make a change, because we are the youngest generation, and we are the generation to do it.
And you know, it's easier now that we have media, because if something like that does happen again, we could just pull out our phones,
Send a
and just
tweet, put it on the gram,
tell people exactly what's
Facebook.
going on. So it's easier, you know, to send the message. But not everybody wants to hear the truth. And the cold truth is that we're minorities in a country that deprives us from reaching our full potential.
No, absolutely.
Well, now we are going to announcements. So we're zooming into the future. We have no classes held tomorrow, Friday, October 3rd. That's great, because I have a Friday class and I do not want to be here tomorrow. We also have the rifle team, who's gearing up for another championship this year. First season starts Saturday, October 4th at Virginia Military Institute. If you know, they're going up for the championship. We are currently on the 10th championship for the rifle team. There will be scholarship information sessions, and they will be held October 9th. So if you're trying to get free money, extra money, that will be held during community hour. For more information, you could log into jj.cuny.edu. We also have the study abroad program to Morocco information sessions during community hour. You can also look that up online. Don't if you're a freshman and you know it's your first time in the school, we have academic advisement. Please do not forget to sign up. That's very important for next semester and to schedule for next semester. We're now zooming back into the past. The women's soccer team lost 1-0 against Maritime College, but Doherty made 3 saves, which is awesome. Even though we lost, it's still awesome.
Yep, and that will conclude today's broadcast. And we want everybody to follow our Twitter page, Radio568 JJ. And you guys could ask us questions on there. Next time we broadcast, we'll definitely get that up there for our next broadcast. And we'll answer them live. Shawnji, me, will be promoting this page. And hopefully we could get a little bit more interference and comment and whatever else you want to call it. So, guys, I really enjoyed this. And
awesome experience.
thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning
We'll see you guys next time. Deuces.